because there's already a barrier before we even began because of all the criticism and the negativity. So it's very important to create the right kind of atmosphere so that discussion can take place. You have the right kind of atmosphere for that, the right environment. Number 2, no personal attacks allowed. Okay? And then it says, the exception is if she says it. Okay? No personal attacks. No personal attacks. Who can give me an example of a personal attack? Yeah. Who can give me an example of a personal attack? You know what I mean by that? You should not have done that. Why did you do that? You are always doing that. Okay? I don't want you. The word you. Simple as that. How does it feel when someone says you and then you know they're going to be angry with you? It feels horrible. It's like taking a gun and pointing at someone and saying, I'm about to pull the trigger, you, at you, right? Here, I get my spear and I'm doing, who is it going to aim at? You, right? So it doesn't feel nice when the word anything personal, right, is said about somebody. When it's personalized, when it give a name, you know, so and so and give a name. I've been taken out of everyone in the group that aimed at that person. So the same thing can be said. If I want to give a criticism, if I want to say something, you know, when you finish reading a book, put it back on the shelf. Why do you always leave the book out? You left your book out, right? You could say the same thing. You know, if we all put our books back at the end of reading them, the house would be much tidier. Which one? Did it feel the same? The difference feels completely different. Especially if you're living in a house with other people there, with children, etc. Because the children are picking up on how things are said and they're copying, and it becomes a way of speaking in that house. So if you, it's like, so-and-so, you know, see what she did that, and she did that, and she did that, and you know, she did that last. You say, why did you do that? Well, she did it last time and you didn't say anything. And it's all about this one, it's all personalized. Everything is personalized. Right? Once you make it more anonymous, and so that then it becomes about the thing that you're actually talking about. When we're talking about something, the point is we want to say there's a concept. Tidy houses are nice. Messy houses are not so nice. Yeah? Shouting is not nice. Talking calmly is nice. Right? Any kind of complaint. But say, once it becomes personalized to a person, we're losing the actual message. It gets diluted and it becomes about so-and-so. And there's a problem with so-and-so. And that person says, why is he picking on me? Look, who's he to pick on me? You're much worse than me. You did something 10 times worse yesterday. And it becomes about something completely different and the message gets lost. It's much easier when discussing to take out the personal attacks. Yeah? So one is personalizing it and one is turning it into an attack as well. You know, how dare you do that to me? How dare you? What's the point of saying that? Say, I'm upset because of whatever it is. Because I'm upset because such and such a thing is not something which is very nice to do to someone. Right? If I want to talk to my wife and say, I don't know, she would never do this, but for example, let's say my wife, I was sitting in the synagogue and she screamed from outside, you know, you're late for our restaurant appointment, it's date night and we're supposed to be going to the restaurant and you're still an Arabic in this shoe talking to people, talk to these men over there, just get in the car, I'm not coming. Right? So I'm going to be so embarrassed. Can you imagine if my wife did that? So what should she do? Right? I mean, probably not come to the synagogue in public. You know, she would have never done this in her life. I'm just giving a random example. Right? Mentioning anything that I did or anything about, you know, in public or shaming me or making me, you know, introducing other issues into the point is going to dilute it and make it harder for me to accept it. All that needed to be said was, when we make an appointment, we should keep it at the time that we said, because it really hurts when I'm waiting and I'm alone and it makes me feel like I'm not important. Yeah? Again, it's not personalized and it's not a personal attack. Okay. Why do we say the exception for this is she says it, right? Because it's like we said before. If a woman says to a man, you this, you that, he doesn't think I really am. He says, you know, you're a gorilla. You know, because he thinks I'm a gorilla, right? She said it because she's angry. It's what she's feeling right now, right? You're so cruel. You're mad. You're crazy. You know, you need to see a doctor, right? So, I want to say more than that because you see, when you grew up in a house, I grew up in a house, my parents came to England, obviously they spoke English from birth, but there's a certain way the Indian community speaks. You know, you're crazy, you're stupid, you know. They say some things which get very personal attacks, right? Which my wife never appreciated, ever in our marriage, ever appreciated those things, right? And I never really understood that it could even hurt her. If I said to my wife, "You're so stupid, you're so crazy, you're you know, what I think of a word that Indian people use, right? You're mental, right, or something, you know," it's really offensive. It could be something really offensive, but in the culture that you're growing up into, and it's okay for parents to say that to kids, the kids never for 1 second thought they were really like that. They heard it. I heard it from my parents, things that today, if you'd say that to children all the time, they'd actually believe that they might be true and they'll have problems. You know, go to the doctor, they'll say, "What? Your parents say that to you? Get the social worker in. This is child abuse, right? We need to do an investigation." Right? But it was completely normal because we lived in this, everyone sort of did it. I don't know, I can't explain it. But you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're nodding, right? Dance.
Yeah, dance.
Yeah, dance, you know. זה מישהו שלא יודע איך לחשוב.
אז זה שבבית ספר, כאילו שהוא מפגר בבית ספר או שלא.
אוקיי. אין לו דעת.
כן.
So now if you say that to your wife, remember we said with the rules before, if she feels bad about it, she'll take it to heart. Aside from that, there's another issue, right? Men will not often know this, but women are struggling in society. Even in our generation, right, when there's equality of the sexes, you still find women can do a job which a man does and she gets paid less. And not only that, to get the job in the first place, and to prove herself and to struggle through society, the whole thing is a big, long process, right? And so many times, I know this from I've heard this, I'm not a woman so I don't know it firsthand, but women will say that they do feel intimidated around men and in general, especially around their husbands. So sometimes women will have feelings of, you know, everyone thinks I'm crazy, everyone thinks I'm not clever, everyone thinks I'm not accomplished, and she can be very accomplished, right? And so she's battling against that all the time. So she might really be thinking the thing that you're going to say, and then when you say it to her, even he thinks it's true, right? That's what's in the back of her mind, but she won't say it to her husband, but she'll feel it and she'll get really upset from it. So therefore he mustn't use that word because he has to realize it's going to make her feel so upset and so bad, which won't happen to him. I mean, sometimes people are hiding things about themselves, how they struggled in life, how they're bullied in school, how they thought they weren't really going to be very accomplished, very successful in life. So it could be the wife will say it to the husband and he will think that because he struggles so much and she doesn't realize how much he struggled, and that's a weak point for him. And so she should also not do it to him. But I'm saying in general, if you look like for like, women get hurt by this more than men get hurt by this. Much more. Yeah? And so therefore, the exception is that she says it because even if she did say it to me, I should say to myself as a man, she's just what she's feeling right now. She doesn't really think that my IQ is 20. She said I'm stupid. She doesn't really think I don't know how to add up. What does it mean exactly? I don't know how to do my shoelaces up, right? She said to me, I'll give you a real case. Yesterday I had a couple I was counselling in my office, in my practice, older couple, and I was amazed because the wife is a counsellor. She herself is a counsellor, and she came to me because she wanted a counsellor who's a rabbi, okay, older than me, and she's at the end of the session, she said, just before we go, I want him to tell you what happened on Sunday. Okay, what happened on Sunday? Well, she asked him to put the food in the freezer, which he gladly would do. But he squashed his challah when he put it in. And she was very upset. And she was really, really upset about it. He ruined, you know, he just because you know what? He did it because he couldn't be bothered. He wanted to get back to using the computer. So he shoved everything in and he didn't care, just, you know, slapdash, right? And it was a 15-minute conversation of him trying to convince her that this is not what happened at all. And we came up with a conclusion. These are very clever people. We came to the conclusion that next time it's better that he doesn't do it. He says to, look, you know what, I'm not good at putting the food in the freezer. You should do it, right? Because I'm going to squash your challah. Right? And she agreed that would be better than him squashing the challah just to prove that he could get it all in. Right? She would rearrange it and spend more time and get everything be perfect and the challah won't get squashed, right? Now, Now, if she would say to him, "You're such an idiot. You can't even get the food in the freezer." Okay, so how would the man feel? He might really, if he feels that he's not good enough, he might really feel bad, but he probably won't. He'll probably think she just feels that I'm such an idiot. I can't even put food in the freezer. You understand what I'm saying? If it was the other way around, and he wants her to put, touch something with his which is very delicate, like I don't know, his golf clubs or something, or he's got some very valuable. He makes model planes or something, and she treats it in a rough way, and he says to her, "Don't break it! You're such an idiot! You're just like a little kid. Don't you understand how valuable, how long it took me to do that, right?" She hears that from him, and she will actually feel bad. She actually he thinks I'm a kid, and he treats me like a kid, and it hurts me. You see? There's a difference. Okay? Obvious, but very, very important, because I'm sure we do this all the time. I know I've done these things, and I do these things, and I'm trying to correct myself, and it makes a difference. My wife is happy to know that I'm trying. The next one, especially, no globalizing. I never dreamed that this would be so bad. It took me years to work this one out. I read about it and heard from others, but I didn't really believe it applied to me, right? Especially in the Indian Iraqi community. Globalization means you always, the word always, or never, it's always the same. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Let me ask the women, what's wrong with, if a man says to you, "You always do that to me," how does that feel? So my wife told me a number of times, it's like telling me there's no hope. There's not even he said it's not even true. So I have to tell myself every time when you say that, it's not true. Because you're saying that, out of 100 times, every single time that's what happened. There wasn't even one time where that never happened. Right? And we've lived for so many years together, there's been millions of times where there's been hours that we spent. Right? Every hour is bad, You always make me feel bad. Let's take that simple statement like that. You always make me feel bad. You never ever made me feel good in your entire life. There's nothing that you could do. It's hopeless, useless. There will never be a happy moment in our lives because you always make me feel bad. That's what it says if you look at the dictionary. That's what it means. That's not true. Okay, it's not true. So the man can turn around and say if she said it, she didn't mean it. Right? But the bottom, it doesn't feel nice. It feels like you're giving me no hope. There's nothing that you're telling me. It's a closed shut case. There's nothing I can ever do to improve, to make it okay. So I could say the same thing, saying, I feel bad right now. You're making me feel bad. No, you always make me feel bad. So I said to myself, come on, that's what I really mean. What are you playing this game with me for? Early in my marriage. What are you playing this game? I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that we have never spent a second of happiness together. I'm angry right now. I'm upset right now. As I said, you always make me feel bad. But you know that I don't mean that, right? The bottom line is, I was told, I had to find out that it really makes a difference. It made a big difference to my wife. Right? And I read about it and see them many thousands, millions of other people in the world who feel the same. It's not as if female or male. This is something that when we're on the receiving end, it doesn't help the conversation. Because if, let's say we've got something very important to discuss, okay, about where we're going on holiday. I want to go to Israel and she wants to go to somewhere else, or the other way around, or whatever it might be. Yeah? We want to talk about that. By bringing something in, saying, whenever it comes to holidays, we always end up doing what you want. So now, it's not about the holiday anymore. It's about what happened last time and the time before that, and start counting the times, 5 versus 6, then that was different, that didn't count, then we'll go on to something else. And the whole conversation becomes about other details, you get sidetracked. Yeah? So it's worthwhile just never doing that, and to be conscious of trying to avoid it in all situations. There are not that many things here, by the way. They're obvious things, but they make a difference. Any comments? Anyone like to ask any questions or anything about this, or do you relate to this? Yeah.
Do you ever go to sleep angry if a fight happens at night?
Auntie Sophie's his grandmother told me that when I got married. She said, "Now I'm telling you something." She said, "Listen to me. I'm like your mother. Never go to sleep with an argument, even if you have to stay awake till the morning."
Sometimes it's better to sleep because you're so tired and then deal with it the next day.
Absolutely. It's really hard to make. Not to go against Auntie Sophie's good advice. It's always better not to go to sleep angry, but it's not always practical to not go to sleep. If we can solve it, fine. Sometimes there's things that depend on tomorrow and things happening tomorrow before we can even solve it. It's quite, and I'm going to actually come on to this point hopefully very soon. Okay, so hold that for a second. It's a very good point. Let's carry on with some more quick ones. Number 4, no fighting in public, and that equals anybody. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's the most amazing feeling to always take my wife's side. We spoke about that last week, I think, yeah. To take my wife's side, or my husband's side, it's the most amazing feeling. You know, nobody else has to know, but if she says something, and I said the same thing in front of other people, there's a teamwork. That's what we spoke about last week at the end, yeah? Here, it's a slightly different point. If in public, it means even in front of the children, even in front of my mother, even my father, if anybody, for argument's sake, I go against her, it doesn't feel good. And nothing can be gained from it. You know, if I'm sitting on a Shabbat table and we've got a guest over there, and I say something, well, my wife says this, but I say the opposite, you know. Or why don't you ask her, because she's got, you know, try and convince my wife to do the opposite. Well, how does that sound? Right? What kind of marriage is that, right? It's not nice. It's not good. It's not professional. If you have got a boss and you've got a worker, or you've got two people working together in a company, and they come out with different opinions about something about the company, it's not professional, right? So we're a professional team, husband and wife. We have to be absolutely one. And if we want to turn around and discuss something, then we don't have to make it anybody else's business. We have to discuss it ourselves and deal with it. And it's interesting because the privacy of the relationship builds the relationship. There's an interesting halakha that husbands and wives should never tell anybody about their private life. Unless it's a counselor or a rabbi because they're asking a halakha or something like that. It should not be spoke to anybody. I remember having guests coming to stay with us, and I didn't understand why the wife was making it known to us that she was going to the mikveh, right? What do we need to know that for? You need to lift, you've got to bend over backwards, so no one should ever know such a thing, because it's that, keeping that private between the husband and the wife makes it special for them. It gives them their privacy. Yeah. Now the exception for this is children on the following conditions. Because we said before, you okay? Huh? It's okay. Huh? Do you want to go somewhere private and stay?
I think I need to take him home.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, we did the hour. We'll try and fill you in next time, or get the video. Moshe. Mazal tov.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Don't worry, it's okay. See. There's not that much more to go for this one. We said before that arguing in front of children is good for the children because they learn how to do problem solving. Children that never saw their parents argue and resolve the argument will never know how to do that. Because they never learned it at home. They have to learn it for themselves. They have to learn it without...
Is it good or not good?
It's good.
It's good.
It's very good. Because they saw a husband and a wife, and sometimes it's good to do it on purpose. Right? Say, look, I'm not sure if I'm not saying that we're talking about something between us. You shouldn't have done this to me, you shouldn't have done to me. No, we're talking about something about whether we're going to buy a new sofa or not. Okay? How much we should spend on it, whether we should use that money for something else. And I say, I want to spend it, I want to get a new sofa, and this time I want to spend a bit more. My wife says, no, I'd rather spend the money on a holiday or a dress, or I don't know what, yeah? Okay? You didn't buy me any jewellery, I don't know, argument going on about it. And the children are listening. Now, they'll see how we're dealing with the situation, and then they'll know when they become older, they'll remember these cases, these stories, and then it's exactly what kids do. They're absolute copycats. It's amazing. You can spend a whole hour just on how kids copy parents later on. How many times I'm saying something which I really resented when my parents said it to me, and it's like they're looking through my body in my eyes, and I'm saying the same thing that they said to me, to my kids.
I regret it, right?
And I was like, what's happened to me? I'm what's the word for it? I'm contradicting my own beliefs over here, you know. I'm a hypocrite. I'm doing my kids what my parents did to me, right? But then we realised from where we're standing that's the right thing to say. And not only that, we even tell them off with the same words that our parents told us off with.
Without realising.
It's uncanny. And we actually adopt those values because they did it to us and it actually worked for us. At the time we didn't want to do it, didn't want to listen. But years later, we knew it was right and we accepted it. And now we have to do that to our kids.
It's not violent, are we?
Chapal!
Not as violent.
My mum had a slipper. Chapal!
Mum had a lot more than a slipper.
Slipper, belt, coat hanger.
Yeah.
Belt.
Today, tell to
I would they used to tie me up.
be quiet.
They
He's gonna call the
Just tie me
police.
up.
Yeah. Today, telling a child,
All day
please
long.
be quiet. He's gonna say, okay, I'm calling the police. I don't want to be
I
here.
used to get the coat hanger for the belt on the metal bit of the belt.
They gave up on me. They just tied me up. They said do machining in my house, and they used to tie me up. So I don't know how I got a stick and I put it in the machine while they was machining. Anyway, right. So children. Okay, the exception is children, but you need 4 conditions. Number 1, they must be able to resolve immediately. If they see us going, disagreeing and being angry with each other and being, grumpy and moany and, moody, that's not good because then they're going to learn to be grumpy and moody and also there's no solution. We want to make sure there's going to be a solution in front of them. And we're going to talk about this how to do this solution. Number 2, need to learn that fighting is part of family for their future families. Number 3, need to have predetermined topics. You can't use any. You can't just happen voluntarily. Suddenly there's a topic and it becomes an argument and we don't know where it's going to go. It has to be that before, we planned this, me and my wife, that we're going to have this so-called discussion and make look like we're arguing through this argument, that argument, because we know what the answer is going to be in the end. And number 4, it's good for them to learn skills of resolutions of arguments and how to work it out. Right? One is that it's going to happen in their families, but one is actually the actual skills of how to discuss and how to say it like we just said before. We don't do all the personalization and we don't globalize and we don't say hate and we don't say it in an attacking way. Yeah? So that's how to deal with in front of kids. Okay, but certainly not strangers. To have different opinions in front of strangers, you've got to stop it. Because it feels very good when couples are on the same side. You have to go?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say 2 more things and we'll carry on next time with this topic, okay? I won't even go to the next one because obviously it says it. The D word, by the word, means divorce, right? So we must never say it because it becomes an option. Okay, I'll just say to you one quick thing, which is number 7, and we'll have to talk about it more. For the sake of a woman, right, the most important thing when there's a difference, right? Look, let's say there's an argument and it's gone on. It's gone on for months about where we're going on holiday. It's gone on for months. It didn't start off as being something that hurt me, but after all these months, we're arguing, it begins to hurt, right? You look like you're really on edge to go. Is that okay? I've got a minute? Yeah. So the most important thing for a woman is to know that it's being dealt with. If a man, he should say, the man should take control. I'm suggesting. It doesn't always have to be, but he should take control and say, you know something, I can see what's happening. We're not going to agree on this, okay? So we have to discuss it more. Not only more discussing, but right now I've got to get to work. I'm in a hurry. We haven't got. The kids have just come home and we don't want to discuss it in front of them. So what are we going to do? So the most important thing at this point, this stage in the discussion, is to say, you know something, we can't deal with it now. But I'm telling you, on Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to come home early and we're going to sit down together alone, or we're going to go to a restaurant and we're going to discuss it. And if we need more time than that, we'll spend more time than that on it. And then we have to go and ask it, because sometimes you can't work it out. So I'm going to tell you strategies next time of how it should be worked out through a mediator or something like that, with skills and ideas of how to make it fair, that every situation could be covered. Yeah? But the immediate thing to calm down, if you don't do this, what's going to happen is a woman generally will be on edge. Man, his mind will think, next time I'll convince her. This time I didn't get around to it. Next time I'll convince her. Next time she'll see reason. I'll explain to her. I'm very clever. I'll manipulate it. Not every man's like that, but I'm just giving an example. But that will work for him to think, next time we'll talk about it again. And it'll go out of his head and he'll forget all about it. The second the topic will come up again, he'll get angry because he wants his way. But for most women, it doesn't work like that. There's a problem and we haven't dealt with it, and it's niggling, and it's going to niggle and niggle and niggle every day. It's never going to go away, and I'm going to go to bed with it and wake up with it, and when's it ever going to get sorted, and I'm going to get anxious and stressed, and all day long I'm living with this problem, and it's not getting sorted out. Tachlis, what's going to be, right? So it's important for the man to say to his wife, don't worry, we haven't worked it out yet, But on Tuesday, so-and-so time, let's make a time and we'll meet, right? So what happens? She's like, right, I can tick the box that says, for the moment, it's not a problem. Right? Till Tuesday, I'm off the hook, right? On Tuesday afternoon, my heart will start thumping and my stomach will start turning around again, and I'm back into that hole, right? Now we've got to deal with it. But at least you gave her a break, okay? So we'll stop over here. Please God, we'll carry on next time. Shabbat shalom.
Next week again,
Yeah.